Guess what? We're live and we are on the YouTube, and it's another What a Week That Was, with moi and you joining in the chat in the chat room. So that's what the chat room's there for. It's there for you to have a chat. Otherwise, well, it'd be a bit pointless having a chat room, wouldn't it? Anyway, hopefully you're all well and good. It's that weird time between Christmas and New Year, and it is the last What a Week That Was. Boo hoo 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 2022. That means there's going to be more. Yes, there is going to be more. There will be more What a Week That Was. And it will be starting at 8 o'clock on Saturdays from now on, because we move a day on. So, hiya JT and Rachel, hope you're good. I've not heard anything, so I assume okay. Hiya Smiley Mike, hiya Angela. So yeah, so we start with some tragic news at the beginning of the week, which was the passing of Maxi Jazz, who was the lead singer of Faithless, I Can't Get No Sleep, that song, that band. It was only 65 as well, which is really, really young these days. And yeah, it was a bit weird that they played some of the tunes where he wasn't actually singing on it when they were doing tributes to him, which I thought was a bit weird, but you know, what can you do? Meanwhile, in that there America, there has been what they call a weather bomb, or rather a bomb cyclone, and it's been destroying Christmas for people. Now, this is the first Christmas where there's been no restrictions on travelling because of COVID and everything since like 2019. But yeah, the weather come along and went, nope, you're not going anywhere. The purple zones are where it is ridiculously cold, but you can see all the way down to Orlando, Austin, Oklahoma and Denver, it was absolutely bracing. And that is heading over to Britain now, but more of that later. Some of the scenes it showed up though were quite nice. Nice snowy scenes with the cars covered in snow, the trees with snow on and everything. Tragically though, people do lose their lives in these weather conditions because they don't realise how bad it is, and they pop off out. And yeah, I've heard a few really sad stories of people who've passed away, even just nipping to the local shop. Yeah, just stay inside. Just stay inside, it's safe. Meanwhile, in Kherson, now remember in Kherson, Ukraine, there was the celebrations of the Ukrainian army getting back the control of the city. Of course, Putin being Putin, has done nothing but bomb it ever since, and there's now queues of cars trying to get out. On Saturday, 10 were killed in an artillery strike, and there was lots and lots and lots of bombs going off everywhere, and I'm like, why is Putin being allowed to get away with this? These are war crimes. He's targeting civilians. It's one thing to target, when you're at war, to target military forces who are attacking you, or who are defending where you're attacking. You know, that's fine. But you can't attack civilian targets, and he just gets away with it all the time, and it's just doing my nutting. It really is. King Charles, he had his first Christmas speech on Christmas Day, which was a bit weird. It was the King's speech rather than the Queen's speech, and it started with God Save the King, and I still can't get my head around. I get the God Save our gracious Queen, King. See, I don't even get that. Long live our noble King. God save our King. But this bit, this is the bit that always gets me now. Long may he be victorious. He. It's got to be he now. It's like, what? No. My entire life it's been she. Now it's he. And for the rest of my life, no matter how long I live, it's going to be he. Because all the next lines in the Thrones, to pretty much a toddler, are he's. So, yeah. It's going to be kings from now on. Anyway, he gave his speech, and it was almost political. He was going on about charities doing good work, feeding people in the country who can't afford food and everything. You're like, someone's having a dig there at the government. which is fair enough. To be fair, I mean, I have a dig with the government, so why wouldn't I worry about that? Anyway, he did well, so congratulations to him. A very sad story from the world. A 26-year-old woman who was just having a drink on Christmas Eve outside a pub on the Wirral, I think it's Digbeth, oh no, that's the other one, got caught up in crossfire, not even crossfire, there was a guy came in and started firing multiple shots, injuring 4 people, 1 seriously still in hospital, and tragically killing a 26-year-old woman. Police still saying they're pretty sure she was not the intended target, she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. The good news is there was some light relief with 2 tragic cases going on, and that was this newsreader, or rather sports correspondent, Mark Woodley. Now, he is a local sports reporter for one of the many cable networks, news networks in America, but because of the cyclone bomb weather, all the sports that he would normally cover had been cancelled. So he got a phone call, do you fancy covering the blizzard? And he's like, yeah, go on then, I'll do that. But he didn't know that what they meant was stand on a street and talk about the blizzard. And my word, was he not happy. Some of the stuff he come out with was hilarious. I've got a couple of clips here. For example, I didn't even realise there was a 3:30 also in the morning until today. And he also acknowledged that he couldn't do his usual gig in the warm studio covering sports because everything is cancelled here for the next couple of days, obviously due to the weather. So what better time to ask the sports guy to come in at about 5 hours earlier than he would normally wake up, go stand out in the wind and the snow and the cold and tell other people not to do the same, which is genius. But you must admit, if you watch them, mainly in America, but we do them over here as well, when there's bad weather, we always send reporters out in the middle of it all, reporting it, and there's like, you know, there's bins flying past and all this kind of gubbins going on, and they just stood there. He went on to say, tune in for the next couple of hours to watch me progressively get crankier and crankier, he warned. Can I go back to my regular job, he asked at one point, suggesting to his colleagues, add an extra hour to this show. He suggested to his colleagues that they added an extra hour to this show just because someone likes torturing him. It's just going to get colder and colder, he said. The outdoors is currently not heated. At one point he gave the viewers good news and bad news. The good news is I can still feel my face right now. The bad news is I kind of wish I couldn't. But yeah, he was he took it well. It became a viral sensation. If you get a chance, just look it up. Reporter whinging. Now, this is where things start to change a little bit, because this is the last What a Week That Was. 2022. And my little book that I've been using all this year is with all my stuff in it, all my little notes and everything, has become a bit pointless because there's not enough room in the book for all my writings. So I got myself a diary, and the diary actually started on Boxing Day. So I've got much more room to write the news. So you're going to get much more detail from now on. Hiya Kim, hiya Deno as well, welcome to the show. Right then, so shall we carry on, shall we? Because I've not had a chance to be able to give as much detail as I may want to do because of the lack of space in my book. Sadly, the first thing I'm going to give details on is the sad passing of the 26-year-old young lady innocently shot outside the pub on the Wirral. and her name is Ellie Edwards, and she was a beautician, and she was just there enjoying Christmas Eve with some friends, and just, well, she'll never be coming home. It's absolutely awful. Two were arrested on Monday, and a 30-year-old male and a 19-year-old woman. Since then, the 30-year-old male has been released but then returned to prison, and the woman has been released a few days later, but on bail. So yeah, hopefully they can get justice for poor Ellie. Unusually, there was a drone strike aimed at Russia. Now, Ukraine have not said it's them, but it is one of their air bases in Russia, quite a long way in Russia, the Russian air base, that has been hit by drones for the second time in a month. The Russians said that 3 people are dead, and they're saying it's pretty much a terrorist attack. No, as we've said before, when you're shooting people who are blowing infrastructure up, what is keeping people alive, that is a terrorist attack. If you're aiming at a military base and you hit a military base, that is a legitimate target for an aggressor who is illegally invading and killing people in your country. So, well up for the Ukrainians. It's a still from a CCTV camera of one of the explosions. The white bit at the top is one of the explosions of the drones actually landing. Meanwhile, in America, with the big freeze, as they started to call it, there was a weird thing going on. I mentioned before about how cold it was in Florida. Well, iguanas were literally falling out of trees. Now, I did say last week that they were warning that iguanas could fall out of trees. Well, iguanas have been falling out of trees. Sadly, some of them are dead, but a lot of them are not, and people have picked them up and they've taken them somewhere, I assume a sanctuary or whatever, where they're all being kept warm until the weather warms up, and then they'll be released back into the wild, which is good. But yeah, can you imagine walking along Florida, you know, like a beach resort or whatever, and an iguana lands on your head? I mean, that's quite a small one by the looks of things, but some of them are massive. But yeah, it's very bizarre weather, and they're saying it's to do with global warming because it's all to do with the jet stream. And if you remember, a couple of weeks ago in the UK, we had that really cold snap, and that basically was the same as what America are having now. The only difference is, to get to us from the Arctic, it had to travel over quite a lot of sea, which warms it up, whereas America is attached to Canada, which is attached to the Arctic, so there's no sea to warm it up. So when the cold air comes down, it stays cold because land is colder than water, and that's why it's a lot worse in America than what it was over here, although it was bad enough, to be fair. We did have freezing rain and everything. Meanwhile, in Korea, North Korea, flew some aeroplanes and bits and pieces, drones and whatever, very near to the South Korean border. So the South Koreans scrambled jets. There was a warning shot fired, but other than that, I don't think anything more serious, which is a good thing. Remember a couple of weeks ago there was a tragedy in Jersey where the block of flats blew up. Well, a 10th person sadly has died, and she lived next door to the block of flats. She wasn't actually in the flats, she lived next door. Now, Boxing Day used to be the day, when I was a kid, when all the sales started. Well, actually no, it used to be the 1st of January, but then it became Boxing Day over time, and people were queuing up outside, you know, and it said Halfords then, Harrods, and trying to get, you know, whatever the bargains are that are on in there, and it was always on the news, and Lewis's in Manchester and everything, and Debenhams, and then they'd open the doors and hundreds of people come rushing in, and it's a bit like, you know, trying to buy overrated energy drinks at Aldi, that kind of thing, and it was every year. Well, it doesn't happen now because we have the big sale before Christmas, which is Black Friday, which goes on for a week or a fortnight, which makes no sense. But now retailers are saying that the footfall is how many people are actually going to and from the the shops has dropped by 30% over the last few years, and it's 30% lower than what it was before the pandemic hit. Now, I'm currently not in retail due to facts that you'll be aware of if you're a regular viewer or listener to this channel. If you're not, then just go on the YouTube channel and check out the What a Week That Was, or the weekly vlogs even, where I explain it all to you. But yeah, it's not a good time to be a shopkeeper at the moment, more so with all the prices going up as well of the energy and cost of living crisis for your staff, so you're putting wages up and all that kind of thing. So yeah, it's not a good time to be a shopkeeper, but what can you do? Good evening, Phoenix Hero. Yes, we're all good. Meanwhile, the blizzard of the century, as it is now called, in the USA is affecting 60% of the population of America and Canada. Absolutely shocking conditions there. So we don't experience anything like that. I don't think we ever will, to be fair. Meanwhile, China, they appear a few times in this program this week. Although this is Taiwan. These young men here are doing their, what we used to call national service, which is where you have to join the army for 4 months. They call it military service. And they train you up, and they make you into men, basically, from boys to men, which is what they used to do here. I think sometimes we should still do it, I'll be honest. I'm glad I missed it. I wouldn't want to do it, but you know what I mean. I think some people could do with joining the army for a little bit. Remember Bad Lads Army? That was a really good programme. I mean, there were too many willies in it, but I mean, apart from that, I don't mean actual, I mean the guys who were in it, they were absolute dicks, but you know, that was the whole point. It was teaching them how to be good. But no, Taiwan have now said, instead of joining for 4 months, you've now got to join for 12 months, and they're going to give them a lot more training. And they're obviously building up for when China invades, because China is still making noises about Taiwan being part of China, and it isn't recognised internationally as a country. It's recognised as a democracy. So China want it back. So what Taiwan is now doing is it's going to train their youth so that they are better than normal civilians, because they've had a year in the army of learning all they need to learn, about using weapons and tactics and all that kind of thing, and working as a team and everything. And it does seem like a good idea. Let's be honest, it worked for Ukraine, so why not do it for Taiwan as well? Meanwhile, in China, they have decided that their very strict COVID things that they were doing, i.e. if someone in a building got COVID, the whole building was locked down. If it was in a city or a town, the whole city or the town was locked down. They've scrapped all that now, which means COVID is running rampant. They reckon that there aren't many people dying in China, but then you see news of multiple funerals going on at multiple funeral homes, and the people there saying that they've never been as busy. A coincidence? I don't think so. But anyway, they're scrapping the quarantine. So if you're going to China from the 8th of January, you won't need to do any tests or anything. You can just literally get on a plane from anywhere in the world, go to China, and then just walk around in China and catch COVID and then bring it back to your country. What could possibly go wrong? Curzon, again, got hit by yet more strikes because, well, Putin just doesn't know when to give up, does he? Absolutely awful. And then in Birmingham, at the Crane nightclub, which is a converted warehouse, another tragedy. A young man was fatally stabbed at a party on Boxing Day. Now, Wigan is famous for its fancy dress Boxing Day evening King Street special that they do every year, and many places in the country do these big events on Boxing Day, and all people go out there to have a really nice time and everything. But a 23-year-old guy, Kobe Fisher, a part-time semi-pro footballer, was fatally stabbed in an argument towards the end of the night, then again, you know, you're going out for a night out and someone thinks it's a good idea to stab people. I just don't get why you would take a knife out with you if you're going for a night out somewhere. Yeah, security seriously lapsed there because they let the knife in. And today, an update, the actual nightclub itself, Crane, have had their licence suspended whilst more inquiries go on as to what actually happened and how the knife got in there. But no, it's just horrible. It's just really, really horrible that young man, you know, will never grow up, basically. Meanwhile, as I said before about China, they've released basically the whole country now to be free and do what they want, and COVID is going absolutely bonkers of them. But due to the lack of people catching it, there's been, you know, light variants like we've got at the minute with Omicron. But the problem you've got is now millions and millions and millions of people are catching it in China. And even though the Chinese government said they're not, we know they are. That means you've got more chance of variants. Now hopefully the variants are getting lighter, but you might have one mutant variant that isn't lighter, and it might plunge the whole world back to square one again. So I think China have just cack-handed this from day one. And, you know, we're not really helping either. For example, on Wednesday, the rest of the world decided that maybe we didn't want Chinese citizens coming into our country without them being tested. So the USA, Japan, Italy, and a few other countries as well said if you're coming in from China, you have to prove that you're negative or you're fully vaccinated, or both. But to be fair, fully vaccinated doesn't mean that you can't carry the virus, so you're better off being a negative. The United Kingdom government said we've got no plans for that. No, we'll be fine. We'll you know, we don't want to do that. So we're going to let people just come in, all willy and nilly. So yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Meanwhile, in the United Kingdom, it turns out that this year, 2022, is the hottest and driest year on record. This is the rainfall amount, and it's been, apart from the last couple of weeks where it's done nothing but rain, it's been a very dry and very hot season, and it's the hottest, like I said, the hottest it's been on record. We're waiting obviously till the end of the year to get the confirmation of that, but I think you'd be an idiot, bearing in mind how long it was hot in the summer, to think that it wasn't going to be the hottest summer of all time, the hottest year of all time. Meanwhile, this gentleman here, people of a certain age will recognise him. He's John Bird. He was a satire comedian, and a very good one as well. His sarcasm was amazing, his satire was amazing, and his impressions were pretty good as well. Sadly, passed away this week at the age of 86. Was on quite a lot of early, well, 80s, 90s, noughties and early teens satire TV programmes. I think he did quite a bit on Spitting Image as well. He worked for a lot of comedians and other shows. The following day, Thursday, it was announced that football legend Pele had passed away after a long battle with cancer. He was 82, and obviously famous for being the only man in history to win 3 World Cups. Obviously teams have won multiple World Cups, but there's never been one player who's been on a team that's won 3 World Cups whilst they've been playing for the team. But Pele did that. He burst onto the scene when he was only 17 years old internationally, which is when he won his first World Cup, I think. And yeah, he'd become more than a football star. I'd heard of him, and I don't do football, but I'd heard of Pele. To be fair, I'd heard of him, not that I, are in need of any of these things, but I remember him when he was advertising Viagra. That's not an advertisement for Viagra, by the way. That's a Mickey take of him. It's like an early meme, if you want. It's probably out of Viz or something like that. Can't keep it up, try Pele's Keepy Uppy pills. Will not cure erectile dysfunction. But yeah, he was famous for advertising Viagra up to a few years ago. But yeah, I say he's transcended. It just seems to be a nice guy as well. Whenever he got interviewed, he always seems to come across as being, a really, really decent bloke. On the same day, we also lost designer Vivienne Westwood. And she was the woman who basically clothed and started the punk revolution. The Sex Pistols, she was going out with Malcolm McLaren at the time, who was the manager of the Sex Pistols. So she got them all dressed up as urban guerrillas, she described it as, with all the ripped t-shirts and the vests and the bits of cuts on them and everything. And she basically invented punk with the hair and everything. And to her credit, she stayed like that, and she was even working fairly recently in France. She did a catwalk show in France earlier on this year, but sadly she's passed away as well at the age of 81. One of the things I remember her for was when she appeared on the Wogan show, although Wogan wasn't on there at the time. It was Sue Lawley, I think, who was doing it. There was a clip shown recently, and she had some models come on who were wearing obviously her designs, which are out there to say the least, and the audience start laughing when these people come on one at a time, and Vivienne gets really, really, really upset and really angry about it. And she says, "Well, if they're going to keep laughing, I will not let the next person come on." And very frumpety and uppity about it, but she must have realised from day one that what she was doing was, was out there and was amazing for the time. And she will be missed by a lot of people. Obviously, I've never been a follower of fashion. I create fashion. My clothes and what I wear and how I wear them is the way people will be doing it for years to come. I may be remembered as a person whom, redesigned what middle-aged men wear. Yeah, probably not. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, Russia bombards again many parts of Ukraine, including Lviv, Donetsk and Kyiv, or the outskirts of Kyiv. This is the outskirts of Kyiv, killing many, but the Ukrainians think that the Russians are running out of weapons, which is one reason why Putin is trying to get pally, they reckon, with China, so that they can get more weapons. Meanwhile, apart from the tragic deaths that are going on in America because of this massive bomb cyclone that's hit them, in Canada, a town has been turned into a winter wonderland with this freezing rain, which is basically just stuck to buildings that are exposed to the direction of the rain coming in, and it's just frozen on them and created these rather bizarre structures. As you can see, it's only on the side that's facing, on this case, it looks like a sea or a quay or something, where the water's come up and froze, and it's not done the sides or anything else. But yeah, amazing sights, and that's going to be once in a lifetime thing, I think. I can't imagine anyone else seeing anything like that in certainly in our lifetime anyway. And not for the first time, Niagara Falls has frozen to a degree, not as much as it did do in the 1920s, which was about 100 years ago, obviously. But yeah, Niagara Falls has frozen yet again. Meanwhile, the police have been making further arrests. Another arrest for the Ellie Edwards murder and the Kobe Fisher murder as well, a third arrest. And again, hopefully, whomever has been responsible for these absolute disgusting acts will be brought to justice. and sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, oh, there we go. Admiral Cat, hello, welcome. The weather's so bad in America that it's actually raining in California. I was showing you iguanas that had fallen out of trees in California a minute ago. There we go. Where has it gone? There it is. There it is. Go away. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? There he is. There you go. Iguanas falling out of trees. Do we have justice in the UK anymore? It depends. If you want justice, no. If you want to avoid justice, yes. I think it's probably the best way of putting it. Meanwhile, the European Union health ministers have had a meeting to discuss whether the whole of Europe should put a ban in place for people travelling from China into Europe without providing a negative COVID test or proof that they've been fully vaccinated. Because obviously freedom of movement, so Italy's done its bit by saying that you need to have a negative COVID test, but then if the people of if people fly into Italy, they can then travel freely through the rest of Europe. So or rather, they land in Europe, they can travel freely to Italy. So it makes it all a bit pointless. Yeah, so the tourist companies in China have not been able to do anything for ages. I'm surprised there's any left, and they're actually made up now. That the people ringing up and actually booking holidays. So we shall have to wait and see. But yeah, it's not looking good. Assuming, well, I don't know. As long as there isn't one a variant that's going to send us back to square one again, then it may not be a bad thing, and maybe just get China done. But if China got themselves done when everyone else is doing ourselves, if you know what I mean, then we wouldn't have this issue that we've got now. And where did it start to begin with? Just saying. Meanwhile, Ellie Edwards' father was at a press conference earlier today and paid tribute to his lovely, gorgeous, bubbly daughter, who, like we say, tragically shot outside a pub in Wallasey. Numerous arrests have been made, but the police are still requesting that people who've got any evidence or know what went on, please, please, please let the police know and make sure that justice can be done. Talking of justice, Andrew Tate, most people have never heard of him. I hadn't, apart from one of my mates showed me a few videos that he'd done, thinking he was like God's gift and saying he was like me and I'd get on with him. And I only watched about 3 or 4 of these videos, and I said, no, this guy's a complete prick and a complete a-hole, and doesn't deserve to have as many followers as they've got for the puerile nonsense that they're putting out. Anyway, he's been arrested. He's been arrested for human trafficking and suspected rape, which is not why I'd arrest him, I'll be honest with you. But he lived in Romania. He's a multimillionaire now, for whatever reason. Used to be a kickboxer, or a boxer, or something, I don't know, some sports person, but then decided that doing YouTube videos, basically slagging off women, is a way forward. And I assume lots of teenage boys, that's what they seem to think, thought he was great. He's not been brought to justice yet, Admiral Cat. He's only been arrested. He has appeared in court, but has denied all charges against him. But yeah, I mean, the guy is a complete and utter KJ. And I mean, I got that from 3 seconds into watching the first video. I had to suffer 3 or 4 of them, and I was like, look, just stop showing me this guy, because this guy is an absolute, you know, prat. And why would he live in Romania? He's English American. Why, if he thought what he was doing was okay, why would he live in Romania? Why wouldn't he live somewhere a little bit more cosy, shall we say, a little bit more safer, friendlier? Because he knows what he's doing was wrong. And yeah, I hope he does get some kind of punishment, and I hope that his followers realise that people like him are not right. I mean, you know, I'm not an influencer, but if I was, I would take it more seriously. You know, I wouldn't, whenever I do these shows or wherever I say anything, or write anything in the paper or whatever, I always do it saying that, you know, my opinion isn't necessarily right, it's my opinion, and you are allowed to agree or disagree with my opinion, because that is your right as well. We've said it many times on here. We've had people in the chat room saying, you know, no, that's wrong, or I think this guy's great, or whatever. But that's it. But no, this guy just spouted nonsense with his flash cars and his, you know, his cigars and all that. He just is an absolute waste of human life. But people like people like that, and that's what's scary. Nothing that's scary, and you know, anyone could see this coming. I think I may have said this at the end of last winter, when all COVID restrictions were lifted. What we need to do is make it mandatory to wear face masks when you're on public transport or a tight space or something like that in the winter time, because for the last couple of years we've not had flu because the masks that we wear stop people catching flu. So the natural defence that people have got against flu isn't there anymore, and the same with COVID. And now guess what? We're having a surge in flu cases. 3,746 a day are being admitted to hospital. There's over 100. That's over 100 times more than last year. And the twindemic is possible because COVID cases are going up as well. 93% of the beds in the NHS, the entire NHS, is full. 12,000 of them are full of people who could go home but can't go home because the social care isn't there to help them when they get home. So like no carers, or maybe they need to modify the house if they've had a stroke or something like that. So I never saw Michael Jackson with a cold. I am okay with masks. Yeah, very good. And War Ready. Hi War Ready. He has become a Muslim. Well, you can be a Muslim in the UK as well. We're talking about Andrew Tate, whatever he's called. Yeah, this cold and flu thing could be avoided easily. The place you're going to catch them is on the bus, on a train, in a very small shop, for example, or a small office. That's where it's going to spread. So what you need to do is reduce the spread of it, and that is wear masks in confined spaces. It just makes sense, because if I have a heart attack or a stroke, I don't want to be sat outside the hospital in an ambulance, waiting for a room inside for me to actually go in and get some treatment. I want to be in there getting treatment, thank you very much. So we need to look after the NHS. Then another shock change today was the fact that the UK, wear masks, wash hands, simple hygiene is a must. Yeah. Smiley Mac. Oh yeah. Or China. China? What? Or China. Anyway. But the UK is about to announce, we think, that people are going to have testing from China, i.e., yeah, bit late now though, isn't it? Because how many people have come in from China since the outbreak in China kicked off? It's one of these things of closing, which is what Boris was guilty of a lot. You know, it was like, oh, there's a nasty variant of Omicron out in South Africa. So a week next Wednesday, we're going to ban people from coming in from South Africa. I'm like, no. If there's a COVID variant of concern, there's a plane flying back, we turn it back to South Africa. We do not let anyone in until we can verify whether or not this variant is a good variant or a bad variant. And we're doing the same again with China, where the variants, there's multiple variants in China now because millions of people get it. The more people who have it, and when it's in the millions and millions and millions, the more chances there are that it's going to be a variant or a mutation. Now, the mutations we've had recently have made it a less threatening virus. However, doesn't mean that that's it, it's done. There could be one person in China who has a mutation in them that they then spread to everyone else that just kills anyone who gets it. We don't know. I'm not scaremongering, I'm just saying we need to be cautious. And what we need to do is say, right, if we are going to do this testing thing, we do it straight away. We do it as soon as. And we should have something in law where if there is a virus or if there is an outbreak of something, it doesn't have to be COVID, it could be something, you know, like this sepe or smallpox or whatever, anything that is life-threatening and could cause a pandemic in any country, we should have a mechanism within our infrastructure that as soon as we are aware of that, we instantly close the borders with that country, whilst we then look into how dangerous or not this thing is. I mean, yeah, it's difficult because people could fly from country A to country B to the UK, get that, but that's a lot more hassle. And if it is something that's quite deadly, then hopefully by the time they get to the UK, it would be noticeable that they are very, very ill and they could be instantly quarantined. But we've got to have something in place where we don't faff around for a week and a half saying, oh, well, you know, we're going to close the borders to this country because of this horrible thing that's happening there, but we're not going to do it for a week. What's the point? You might as well not bother closing the borders, because people then rush back, don't they? If you go abroad for any reason whatsoever, you should be prepared to have to stay in that country in order to protect your nation should anything untoward come along that in that country that could affect the nation that you're from. What gives you the right to go somewhere and then, because you're you, come back with a virus that ends up killing tens of thousands of people? No, we should have a thing in place where as soon as something of concern, a virus, a disease, it'd be a virus, wouldn't it, of concern is found in a country anywhere in the world, that country is instantly locked down as far as we're concerned. And then we try and track people trying to get in from other routes as well, because that's the only way you're ever going to stop these things. But anyway, I'm not the president, so I don't know. Talking of president, he's not been on yet. He'll be on later, don't worry. But Donald Trump, his taxes have been opened up to the world, and it turns out he paid $750, not $750,000, not $750 million, $750 in tax in 2016 and 2017. $750. You pay more than that in the UK in your income tax, and you're not a multimillionaire. Ex-president, current president at the time. He paid zero tax in 10 out of 15 years from 2020, from the 2000 to 2015, and he still owed on loans to be repaid by 2024 $300 million. Do you know, you have something called common sense, Elder? Yeah, I know, it's scary that I've got a common sense. It worries me. It worries me that I've got a common sense. But anyway, Donald Trump, a multi-billionaire, doesn't pay his taxes. Now, you know, if you're earning, what, 12,000 it is a year or whatever, you don't pay taxes anyway, that's fine. But if you're a multi-millionaire, I know it's America, it doesn't affect me directly, but you should be paying your taxes. And if you're the ex-president of the United States of America, come on. What's this? Don't call Donald a millionaire. He is a billionaire, and I'm sure he sued someone for calling him a billionaire. It wouldn't surprise me. That's probably how he makes his money, just suing people for saying things that he doesn't like. What follows a lot of snow and weather warming up when it's very, very wet? The answer in Scotland, and it will be in America as well, is floods. This is where is it? It's where I went and did a video anyway, and I walked down that street. It's southern Scotland, not far from Carlisle, and it's on my Let's Walk Around videos, or my Let's Visit videos, or my Let's Explore videos, in the playlist anyway. And it's flooded due to the fact that all the snow on the mountains has been melting, which has gone into the rivers, which have then all burst the banks, not helped by the fact that it's done nothing but absolutely pour down with rain particularly in Scotland, for the last 2 weeks. So yeah, it's just shocking, and we're going to get scenes like this in America as well when all the water, all the snow melts. Because someone actually asked the question, where's all this snow going to go? It's not going to go anywhere, it's just going to turn into water and then it's going to flood your house. You know, that's what it does. That's why it's called snow. Old roads, or many roads, are practically impassable. This looks a bit like Rufford Ford, doesn't it? Which is that thing that they show on YouTube on a regular basis, where people you know, show off by driving through at high speed and then realise that that's not what you do when you're driving through deep water in a car. But yeah, so that's it for the UK based news. It's now time for Meanwhile in America. Is it a week ago since I did this? It doesn't feel like it. Is it a week ago since I said? Is it a week ago since I did this? It doesn't feel like it. Because it don't feel like it. La 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 America. They're all mad in America. They're all mad in America. Let's see what they've been up to in America. Sorry. Bill Gates, a massive insert your own word as the word end at the end of it, has listed his pregnant daughter's New York City apartment as a loss. Now this is Bill Gates, who said that he's not going to give his kids or leave his kids anything in his will. Feeding babies batteries time. Because he wants them to make their own money. But then he's selling his daughter's New York City apartment and is willing to take a slight loss in the process. So he's bought his daughter's apartment for her in New York and he's now selling it, but he's going to make a loss on it. He spent $5 million in cash a few years ago. It doesn't say when, and now he's asking it for $4.75 million for it. So it's $250,000 dollars less. I mean, hypocrite, I think is the word, because you say that you're not going to leave your kids any money, and then you buy an apartment for them to live in. How's that making money for herself? How's that giving her? Oh, I don't know. Anyway, this is a sensible, rich business tycoon. Oh, hang on a minute. No, it's not. It's Elon Musk. He orders removal of Twitter suicide prevention feature. He's since denied this. Dumfries, that's it. Dumfries, I called it. Dumfries. So he's selling it for a Windows computer that doesn't freeze. Very good. Elon Musk orders removal of Twitter suicide prevention feature, sources say. Now, he's denied this since, but Twitter Incorporated removed a feature in the past few days that promoted suicide prevention hotlines and other safety resources to users looking up certain content, according to two people familiar with the matter, who said it was ordered by the new owner, Elon Musk. The removal of the feature, known as #ThereIsHelp, has not been previously reported, but it has been shown that it has been removed. Now, he's denied it's removed. So basically, if you're looking at you know, self-harm, suicides, how to kill yourself, all that kind of stuff, you're typing that in the search engine, it will automatically come up with helplines to say you're not on your own, ring the Samaritans, ring the whoever, check this website out, go here, get help, speak to someone. And he's apparently removed all that, so you should still get all the nonsense that's up there that shouldn't be up there anyway. But yeah, Elon Musk, sensible guy. Now, this was leaked last week, a tragic story of a monkey. It was leaked actually on this very programme. I'm not saying who did it, but I was deeply upset. Baby chimp at the Cancer Zoo, who won over the hearts on social media, has passed away in its mother's arms. A Kansas chimpanzee who showed the world what a mother's love looks like is now mourning with millions after the unexpected death of her 5-week-old son. It took them a while to actually be able to get the baby body from the mother, who just kept holding it and rocking it backwards and forwards, which is tragic. And it shows, people say animals don't have feelings. Of course they do. I mean, obviously primates like chimpanzees and gorillas and stuff like that, we've seen them in the wild, kind of mourn people. Right, yes, Admiral Cat. Go on, I'll let that go because I actually talked about that, so I'll let that one go. But the point of the matter is that animals have feelings too. I mean, even birds have been seen to gather in a group around a dead bird from their flock, and sometimes, like magpies, sometimes bring like a stick or something and put it on the bird's body. So I can imagine that a chimpanzee that loses a baby that it's been looking after for 5 weeks is going to make the mother, well, distraught. But yeah, sad story, very sad story. At least 12 dead as bomb cyclone wreaks havoc across the USA. As well as freezing to death, obviously a lot of people have been caught up in accidents, or their car's gone off the road and no one can see it because it's gone into a ditch that's full of snow, which has then instantly got covered up. I imagine there's going to be a lot more deaths, but obviously the roads have been absolutely horrendous. And we've all seen countless dashcam video shows and clips of vehicles that lose control on snow and ice, and when it happens on a freeway or a motorway and visibility is zero, then yeah, it's just going to get absolutely horrendous. The world's largest crocheted the world's largest crocheted Christmas tree knitted in Portugal. What? They celebrated Yuletide with a yarn. The world's largest crocheted Christmas tree, standing over 55 feet, was crafted by 70 women, ages from 11 to 88. You can only do it if you had double digits in your age. A Lisbon residents group, the Associação de Malordos Unidos de Apalico, initially embarked on the task as a labour of love to give its elderly population, 11, a reason to leave the house after 2 years of pandemic isolation. And it's now to be fair, I would have thought if they'd have made it a 5-foot crochet tree, it'd be the tallest crochet tree in the world. I can't imagine there are many crochet trees anywhere. And what happens when it rains? You know what wool's like when it gets wet? Wet. Exactly. Wet. Animals have feelings and their wonderful energy is just good. That is right. Over a frozen bat rescued from a Houston bridge. The big freeze in Texas left a bat colony cold as temperatures dropped in the 20s overnight on Thursday. Now not 20 centigrade, 20 Fahrenheit, which is a lot colder than 20 centigrade. Over 100 bats froze in place under a bridge that's become a popular area for bat watching. As a result, the Houston Humane Society, should be the Houston Bat Society, rescued 138 frozen bats from the Wall Street Bridge. The big freeze in Texas left the bat colony cold. They've put them into warm lofts in people's houses where they can recover, and then they'll be released back again. Yes, Portugal, the 55th state. Well, yeah, I dare say. Arctic sea smoke from Lake Michigan blankets Chicago. If you don't know, Chicago is, I won't say it's like Venice, but there's a hell of a lot of water around Chicago. Not only have you got Lake Michigan, but you've also got the river that runs through it, and I mean runs through it, meanders through it, and it's a massive river as well. I only know this because I used to watch ER, and they often did a thing where they had a chat on the bank of the river, and it was like the river was like you could see the other side of it, but it was like a mile away. So yeah, there's a lot of water in Michigan, Conditions created by the Christmas week bomb cyclone caused Arctic sea smoke from Lake Michigan to waft over Chicago amid bitter cold and snow. The sea smoke was rising, creating an eerie landscape in Chicagoland. Lake Michigan water temperature were hovering around 40 degrees Fahrenheit, while the air temperature was 5 below zero. Now 5 below zero Fahrenheit is a lot more than 5 below zero. So yeah, it was cold. Very cold. Now we were talking about Andrew Tate earlier on, who's like one of the big plonker influencers on the planet, who my mate thinks is amazing. But there are others. Hello, Joe Rogan podcast. This guy's a bit of an idiot as well. A Harvard visiting professor and modern slavery activist exposed the appalling cobalt mining industry and the Congo on a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience that went viral. The video has already racked up 1 million views and counting. Cobalt Red, how the blood of the Congo powers our lives. Which is what I've been saying for ages. I mean, I don't agree with Joe Rogan, and I don't agree with other people like him, but some of the guests he has on actually do talk sense, and this is one of them. What have I been saying since I started saying stuff publicly? Electric is not the way forward. We are basically destroying the planet to save the planet. We need so much copper for all the wiring just to charge the bloody vehicles up. Remember, it's not like just your local car park at Asda or Tesco or Walmart or wherever you are. It's the whole world that needs these charging things. So how much cables are they going to need? What's wrapped around the copper cable? Oh yeah, plastic. And then there's more copper around that, and then there's more plastic around that, and then it's put in a big plastic tube, which is then buried in the ground. Electric is not the way forward. And this is right. You know, they are digging up all these precious metals around the world, and then they are sticking them on ships and ferrying them around the world. It's not green. And then when the batteries run out, what do you do then? What do you do to... You can't chuck a Tesla car battery in a landfill. You're stuck with it. Anyway. I may be wrong, but you mentioned the Congo, and I'm sure I saw a video a few years ago talking about with the new Italian PM. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for being green and everything, but we have to do it the right way, not the wrong way. You all keep me going, and thank you. Joining the chat when Elder is playing Spot the Car on the roads. Oh, come on, Joe's a cage fighting commentator. He's on the same page as you for electric cars, though. His recent podcast on cobalt mining slaves was an eye-opener. It's not an eye-opener. I've been saying this for months. He's copying me. He's getting his ideas off me. Remember, I used to say something and Boris would do it 2 weeks later. Not saying anything. Words got round. Talking of words getting round. King Charles. This is how it was reported in America, because it was reported in America. King Charles honours late mother Queen Elizabeth in first Christmas message. King Charles delivered a moving message of grief and loss on his first Christmas address since taking the throne following his mother Queen Elizabeth's death in September. Christmas is a particularly poignant time for all of us who've lost loved ones, the 74-year-old monarch said in a comments pre-recorded at Windsor Castle. Now, Angela mentioned then that the drives that I do that are live, where you all talk to each other, which is great, keep each other company. I don't get involved with them because I'm driving a car. But on Christmas Day, I was going to my mother's, and I was saying, it's going to be King Charles's first ever King's speech today, and it's going to be, like, hello and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas is not a happy time for everyone when you've lost someone you love, a family member or a good friend or something. And I was doing all this, and that's basically what he come out with. So yeah, King Charles had more viewers as well than his mother's last one. He had 10 million viewers. And I don't remember or not, but the Labour Party have not sang the national anthem for a long while. The Queen dies. A few weeks later, they have their conference and they sing the national anthem. Sexist? Gets worse. The Queen's speech no, the King's Speech, sorry, this year was shown on more channels in the United Kingdom than any of the Queen's speeches ever. Sexist? I think so. Questions need to be asked. Putin says Russia is ready to negotiate over Ukraine. What? President Vladimir Putin said Russia was ready to negotiate with all parties involved in the war in Ukraine, but that Kyiv and its Western backers had refused to engage in talks. Russia's 24th of February invasion of Ukraine has triggered the most deadly conflict in Europe since World War II and the biggest confrontation between Moscow and the West since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. I remember it well, not, I wasn't born. There is thus far little end in sight for the war. The Kremlin says it will fight until all its aims are achieved, while Kyiv says it will still defend and kick out Russia, which is fair enough. Just glad that creep Andrew has been kicked out of the palace. Charles at least always had a sense of humour. King Charles, that's Admiral Katz, Deno, King Charles being a loving dad to two different men, but knowing he's neutral, needs to buck up and take his stand. I am all supportive of him, but he needs to get a backbone. Has anyone been lucky enough to get a £5 night with Charlie Boy's face on yet? They're not being released until next year. I think it's March next year. The only ones that are available now, allegedly, are 50 pences. They were supposed to be released in December from the Royal Mint. So they're the only ones. But because I reported on it last week, didn't I, the £5 notes? But it's March next year when they come out. So you won't find one yet. And if you do, I think it might be a forgery. Well, as for Prince Andrew, has anyone seen that Prince Andrew the musical? I managed 10 minutes of it. I did have a £5 Elizabeth coin in 1998, yeah, which I'm going to sell on eBay for £1,000. Yeah, that is true as well. Laptop sparks fire on JetBlue flight, prompts evacuation at JFK. So this is someone using a laptop. A New York bound JetBlue flight, which is an airline in America, from Barbados was jolted by more than the dramatic temperature drop on Saturday evening when the plane was forced to evacuate due to a smoking laptop. The aircraft had just rolled into Terminal 5 when an airline worker noticed the overheated computer. The Federal Aviation Administration said the 133 passengers were promptly evacuated and there was no injuries and no damage to the plane either. It continued on its return leg shortly afterwards. Wild video shows woman's close encounter with a lightning strike. It came out of nowhere. This is the only reason why I put this one up. Because it's a lightning strike. It came out of nowhere. I mean, it's a lightning strike. You don't get prior warning of lightning unless she thinks Back to the Future is true. But even if it was true, the only people that knew when it was going to happen were the people from the future who'd gone back to the past, i.e. the Doc and Marty McFly. That all lightning comes from nowhere. That's why it's so dangerous. You stupid, stupid woman. Not you. Her, stupid woman. Oh. Let's say the Pope's Catholic. I should better not do any Pope jokes because we might be losing one soon, and that would be ironic, don't you think? It's like rain in your wedding day. It's a free ride when you've already paid. Man arrested at JFK. It's a busy airport, isn't it? For trying to smuggle a gun inside a peanut butter jar. Now, this is the weird thing about this. There's a few weird things about this, but one of them is, aren't guns illegal? Aren't guns legal in America? So why would you smuggle guns? A Rhode Island man found himself in a sticky situation in New York's JFK airport after he was busted trying to sneak a disassembled gun through security in jars of peanut butter. It's why? An officer found parts of a .22 caliber semi-automatic handgun wrapped in plastic and stuffed inside 2 separate jars of Jif peanut butter in the passenger's checked baggage. Nowhere's a place it's called Nebraska. Brilliant. Meanwhile, at JFK, New York PD bomb squad rushed to JFK airport over a grenade discovered in a box. So far we've had, the last 3-4 stories, we've had a laptop catching fire, a disassembled gun in peanut butter, and now we've got a grenade in a box. The New York Police Department bomb squad rushed to JFK airport on Sunday when customs agents found a box that contained a grenade. The police and law enforcement sources said the weapon was later found to be inert. The emergency call came around 9:45 a.m. It looks suspicious. Yeah, it would do, wouldn't it? It's a grenade in a box. I mean, you know, it's like a pineapple that's gone very badly off. That's it for JFK, you'll be pleased to hear. A box bomb online. Yeah, whilst there's a cyclone bomb going on as well, or a bomb cyclone. 5 teams charged in Mall of America Christmas weekend shooting. 5 teenagers were charged with second-degree murder in connection to the Christmas weekend fatal shooting at Minnesota's Mall of America. SWAT officers arrested 2 18-year-old men and 3 17-year-old boys at a home in nearby St. Louis Park at 8:45 a.m. about 12 hours after a 19-year-old man was shot dead during a brawl inside the shopping complex. America, guns, wake the up. Sorry, just gets me mad. This will calm me down. Trump blasts January 6th committee as sick people and Marxist after damning report. Well, that seems reasonable, doesn't it? They've obviously touched a nerve. They've hit some truth somewhere. Former President Donald Trump blasted the January 6th committee for blaming him for instigating the Capitol Hill riot in its final report, denying any fault and repeating his false claims that the 2020 elections was stolen. They were stolen, not was stolen. Trump posted the video rant on his Truth Social platform on Friday, one day after the January 6th released their report accusing him of engaging in criminal multi-part conspiracy. All pictures of Donald Trump are lovely. Most of the charges get dropped off. Yeah, of course they do. That's the thing. This is a weird one as well. 4th electrical substation found vandalised in Washington State on Christmas Day. A 4th Washington State electrical substation was found vandalised on Christmas after 3 others were attacked earlier in the day, leaving thousands without power. More than 10,500 energy customers were left without electricity across the region by 7 a.m. The suspects broke in and damaged all the substations. I mean, you've got to be brave to go in a substation if you don't know what you're doing. But I mean, that is on Christmas Day, 4 of them. When I see Trump, I also see the Dalai Lama video. Well, hey, what? Meghan Markle surprised William with a killer Christmas gift. You're like, what? It was a killer gift. Meghan Markle reportedly gave Prince William a spoon with the words "serial killer" engraved on it for Christmas 2017. The claim was made in the 2020 Tomb Finding Freedom, penned by Ahmad Scooby, which has recently resurfaced online in light of the ex-actress's estrangement from her royal brother-in-law. It's weird. It's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing to a serial killer to a future king. Yeah, no, maybe his ancestors. Trump versus Biden is straight out of South Park. Ukrainian kids get Christmas cheer, including generators from US donor. There's British people doing it as well, but we don't report that very much over here. Serial killer, hilarious. Yes, I get it. The true meaning of Christmas is coming to life in Ukraine, kind-hearted Americans are rushing to deliver gifts, toys, candy, clothes and even generators to make the first holiday season of the continuing Russian onslaught a bit merrier for the nation's suffering children. It's very nice that we have support from various countries around the world for our children and trying to give them some help and support these difficult times, said a spokesman. Lights out in LA, Mayor vetoes lighting of the Hollywood sign. Now, I'll be honest with you, I always thought the Hollywood sign was lit. Angela O'Kane. Oh, Angela, please don't tell me you detest every cell. You detest it down to a cellular level, because that would be inappropriate. The lights went out in Hollywood. At his last day in office, Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti signed an executive directive to launch an 18-month pilot program to allow for the lighting of the Hollywood sign. A mere 10 days later, his successor, Mayor Karen Bass, put the kibosh on the order, cancelling the plan before it took effect, 15 days after it was done. It's weird, isn't it, that I always thought that the Hollywood sign was lit up. I just assumed it was. And the only reason I say that is because I play Grand Theft Auto online, and they have a Los Santos sign. Is it? No, it's not. It's a Vinewood sign on the hill, and that's lit up at night. So I just assumed the real one was. I know the one in Wrexham isn't, because I've been there a couple of times and that's not lit up. But yeah, who knew? Waste of electricity, poor people would pay for it. Markle was a literal nobody before she married Prince William, still trying to figure out how she did that. She didn't marry Prince William, she married Prince Harry, but I know what you mean. Hollywood sign used to be Hollywood Land. It did. It was called Hollywood Land. And there are some very early pictures of it. And yeah. Don't trust everything in GTA. I don't think it's 100% accurate. What? You don't... GTA is not 100% accurate. But... It is. I've been playing it recently and it's snowed. I mean, that's accurate. That's what it's doing over there. It's accurate. It's real. It's real. It is real. Although it was a bit strange because there was some program and they were driving down a boulevard or something in Los Angeles. And I was like, oh, I recognise that road. And then I remember, no, that's Grand Theft Auto. But to be fair, Rockstar have done an amazing job of recreating parts of Los Angeles that when you see it on the telly, you know you've driven down that road. It's very, very, very impressive. Use Wikipedia instead. That's accurate. Ah, okay then. Thank you, Smiley Mac, for helping me there. If you watch Family Guy, you see Hollywood is where all the crap lands. I don't watch Family Guy. I would love to know who has the task of typing all that stuff in Wikipedia. We do! We do! We can go on Wikipedia, we can type in anyone's name, and we can edit them, which is what people do. And then we can, multi-Oscar winning, multi-Oscar abuser or something, I don't know. You can change things, it's great. Vladimir Putin's RT News predicts dire Christmas for Europe in a grim ad. I mean, I've said before, Putin's like a spoilt child who's, not getting his own way, so he spat his dummy out, and he's not throwing his toys out the pram, he's chucking his missiles into Ukraine, but it's the same thing. Vladimir Putin's RT News channel is wishing Europe a miserable Christmas in a bizarre holiday ad. The Kremlin-funded propaganda outlet taunted its Western foes by forecasting a future where families will eat their pets and live in darkness. No matter how hungry I'm getting, I ain't eating silence. God, I've tried to get her. She'd rip me apart. She'd eat me before I got to eat her. Because Western sanctions on Russia over the invasion of Ukraine have triggered soaring energy costs. So it's hilarious. It really is. that they just think that's going to affect us. I'm like, oh no. You need to watch Family Guy. I don't need to watch Family Guy, Dano. My school had so many different head teachers. When the class found out they could change it. I bet they're all famous people as well, weren't they? Like Gary Glitter and Noel Edmonds, and not Noel Edmonds, a slander, isn't it? Anyway, pregnant mother, teenager among 4 killed in Ohio Turnpike pileup during winter storm. Again, people going out in really bad weather conditions when you shouldn't do. And sadly, a pregnant mother and a teenager were among 4 people killed in a massive 46 vehicle pileup crash on a snowy Ohio Turnpike on Friday. 3 of the victims were identified by the authorities, and the 4th one is the family being informed at the moment. So it's, yeah, use common sense. I mean, we've all seen videos, in America in particular, where there's been a crash, but people can't see where they're going. They're driving too fast. The roads haven't been gritted because they don't have gritted because it doesn't normally snow there. And the cars just come sliding in for about an hour. And, you know, people lose their lives. It's awful. Anyway, Elder CEO Twitter, vote for Prime Minister. Yeah, listen, I don't think I'm quite ready for Prime Minister yet. Let's have a proper president, shall we? Trump claims he never asked Jared Kushner or Ivanka to join his 2024 campaign. Now that's Ivanka and her husband, I think, whom said that they were not going to get involved in his 2024 campaign under any circumstances. Former President Donald Trump insisted Monday he never asked his son-in-law or his daughter to be part of his 2024 presidential campaign. Trump made the claims on a Monday post in his Truth Social page, where he also said he actually asked Ivanka and Kushner to stay clear from his campaign, to shelter from the mean and nasty world of politics. Yeah. Snow equals Zoom. Yeah. Zoom. Just one look and then my heart went boom. Flying high like a kangaroo. Russia dismisses Ukraine peace pitch with denazification demands. Moscow rebuffed Ukraine's proposal for a peace summit early next year by demanding that Kyiv meets the Kremlin's requirements of demilitarization and denazification, or the Russian army will solve the issue. Now, bear in mind, a couple of days ago, we've had a look on here a few minutes ago, that Putin said that he was looking for peace talks, but no. His Russian foreign minister on Tuesday also accused NATO and the United States of wanting to destroy Russia on the battlefield. We don't want to destroy Russia on the battlefield. We want Russia to just actually be a nice neighbour to its friends and foes. Now, this is a scary video, but again, I think it's slightly mistitled. It's not a video. You won't see the video. You won't see a picture, but I've seen the video. A leopard injures 15 people in an unprovoked rampage in an Indian town. Now, unprovoked rampage. It's a leopard, which is normally in the wild, that somehow found itself in a town full of people and vehicles and noise and sounds and smells it doesn't know. It's going to panic. What's it going to do? It's going to panic and it's going to attack what it thinks is a threat to it. It's not an unprovoked rampage, it's a confused, scared animal. Anyway, shocking footage has emerged of a wild leopard going on an unprovoked rampage through a northeastern Indian town, injuring at least 15 people. The clip circulating on social media Tuesday shows a big cat leaping over a barbed wire fence. It wasn't a barbed wire fence, it was a iron wrought fence, before latching onto a passing van and then running off. You're putting... I know we were saying before that animals have feelings, but they have basic feelings. They have, I think they do have a feeling of love. You know, like even a mother duck loves its ducklings, but after a few weeks, it's like, cough, I've looked after you long enough, go away. But for, you know, when the ducklings, you know, they love them, they look after them. Obviously, the chimpanzee we had earlier on, the birds that we were talking about earlier on as well. But the other one is fear. Any animal that doesn't have fear as something that's built into its brain will be dead. Which is why cats, I think, to be fair, in general, that's why the curiosity to kill the cat, because they're like, oh, what's this thing spinning around that's making a lot of noise? I put my head in it. You know, but you know, it's a scared leopard that's trying to figure out where it is, get back to where it knows where it wants to be, and it's going to attack anyone or anything that it think is a threat to it. Basic instinct, yeah. With the leopard thing, I feel we as humans intruding into animal lands. Yeah, we've been doing that for centuries. We do that here. We do that in the United Kingdom. We obviously do it in America. Leopards, though, poor beast. Yeah, basic instinct. Yeah, exactly. I was half expecting to see a later headline saying that someone has shot the poor thing. Like, no, by all means, you know, sedate it. Get it in a vehicle, take it to its natural habitat, and then release it, make sure it wakes up okay and it's safe, and then drive off. But yeah, mind you, it's India. Buffalo snowstorm photos of 2022 and pictures of deadly New York blizzard. I don't know if you can just see that at the top, but that's a guy who it says here is 6 foot tall, who's digging his drive and obviously stood up there. So that snow is well over 5 foot deep. It's the worst winter storm in more than 50 years. And the restaurant, which is that picture there, is covered in high ice from the spray of Lake Erie. Which again is similar to what we were looking at in the Canada photographs that we saw earlier. Hopefully once in a lifetime event, but they are saying that, you know, this is caused by global warming. What basically happens is, you've all heard of the jet stream, which is the thing that's you know, thousands of feet and meters above us, and goes very, very fast indeed, and it kind of has this wave thing, and the wave moves, and when it moves to the right place we get lovely weather, and when it moves to the wrong place we just get nothing but rain. The problem is the planet's warmed up that much that this thing is moving a lot more than it used to, and what it's doing is it's bringing down weather from the Arctic. The problem is the weather goes down one side, it goes up the other side, so it means that the ice caps are actually melting quicker, because although we're getting the cold air, the warm air is going up the other side of it. Hello, Jono. Do you speak English? There are more tigers in the state of Texas as pets in the wild anymore. But it's sad that, yeah, but as I said last week, President Trump has signed something saying that they are not going to from Wednesday, April the 6th, Yahoo Japan will no longer be available from the European Economic Area and the United Kingdom. April 6, 2022 onwards. Well, okay. What are you telling us that for? Did you translate any of that, Angela? Because I couldn't. I tried and it came up with Yahoo. Right, anyway. What we're talking about, President Trump signed a thing saying that you can't keep big cats as pets anymore in America. We may be called the awesomeness of the thing. Let's copy this. I'm going to copy and I'm going to Google it. It might be alright, you know, you never know. Let's paste. Let's go. Dum 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 dum. Might be like, hi, I love you. No. Okay. Dum dum dum. So yeah, bear with us. Translate Japan English. Dum dum dum. Japanese. There we go. Paste. Good evening, my friends. Okay, that's all right. We can allow that. Goodbye, my friend. Copy that, put that in the translator, paste. Are you okay? Yes, Jono, I am fine, thank you. If you could speak in English, that'd be good. If you want to use Google Translate Japan English, that would be good as well. Thank you. I'm trying to break America, and I'm trying to break Japan as well. So they got timed out, but they'll be back hopefully. Right, where are we up to? We're up to frozen restaurants, weren't we? Frozen restaurants. Where have they gone? Where's it gone? Is that that's the frozen restaurant? Is that the frozen restaurant? No, it's not the frozen restaurant. That's the frozen restaurant. Right, okay then. Who's this man? Texas worker checking pipes killed after being mistaken for a burglar. Oh God, we're all off. What we put? Good job, I've got the translator out, innit? Paste. Best jokes in Japanese. Sayako no joko wa nihongo. First time I've ever tried to speak Japanese. Well, that's what I want to break America for. A Texas maintenance worker was shot and killed, guns, whilst checking pipes in an apartment complex after a resident spotted him and suspected a burglar was attempting to break in. Cesar Montelogo was checking the pipes at the Clayton Point Apartments in Grand Prairie on Christmas Eve, according to the Grand Prairie police, and was standing on the balcony, and he was mistaken by another resident and shot dead because they thought he was a thief. America, wake up. Sporty Spice Mel C cancels Poland concert over issues brought to her attention. Ex-Spice Girl Mel C, Sporty Spice, says she will no longer participate in a planned New Year's Eve show in Poland after being made aware of issues that do not align with the communities I support. The singer known best as Sporty Spice, whose real name is Melanie Chisholm, shared the update in her New Year's plans, which received backlash from the LGBTQ plus community in light of some of the issues that have been going on in Poland. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to just do something the other way. So we'll go from English to Japanese. Yeah, there we go. Dum 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 dum. I need a quiet keyboard. Right. Grigo de Igo de Nihongo no Honyanko o Shinyu Shai Kusai Hamishita Tokyo o Sakujuka o Shaita no wa Modorishata. There you go. That's that was me talking in thingamabobby. Right, sorry for the interruption there. Right then, shall we get back to it? So yeah, Mel C is not going because of LGBTQ plus rights, which is fair enough. At least you're standing up for principles, unlike a certain footballer who likes queuing up to see the Queen, but also likes getting millions of dollars to go and promote a country that doesn't have any human rights sensibilities. Don't get friendly with Putin. I mean, don't be an enemy of Putin either, but don't get friendly with him. Pavel Antov, a Russian sausage tycoon who criticised Ukraine's war, dies in a fall. How many have died in a fall recently? A Russian sausage tycoon who criticised the invasion on Ukraine plunged to his death from a luxury hotel in India 3 days after his friends lost his life on the same trip. Pavel Antov, who's reportedly celebrating his upcoming 66th birthday, was found dead outside the Hotel International in Raigada in the UK's... according to Russian state media, Antov, who was also a politician, died in a fall. There's more. It's not the only one. There's more coming. Mysterious deaths of rich Russian people. Thousands of bags pile up after airports' baggage claims after Christmas delays. Thousands of bags were seen piled up in multiple US airports on Monday as people attempted to head back home after the Christmas weekend. Bags were stranded at Tampa International Airport due to the winter storm impacting much of the country. Airlines had to cancel numerous flights over the weather, leaving travellers stuck at airports. So yeah, a sausage tycoon, yeah. A tycoon who made his money in sausages, you know, like Heck sausages, or Wall sausages, or Vladimir's sausage. Because apparently Vladimir liked sausages. Tennessee mum used her 5-year-old child as a shield in armed carjackings. Oh, it's a genius idea, think about it. I'm joking, obviously. A Tennessee woman is accused of multiple armed carjackings, including one which she used her 5-year-old child as a shield after firing a gun. Bethany Wilson, 24, went on an alleged auto theft spree that ended with her crashing one of the stolen vehicles on an interstate. She stole at least 3 cars over a period of a few days. Vladimir is a sausage. And so she, using her son as a human shield. Texas man dressed as woman arrested for allegedly photographing women in bathroom was also brandishing a pepper ball gun. Now, again, last week we were talking about Spain and Scotland making it easier for people to change their sexuality legally on documents and things like that. And this is someone who hasn't even done that. But a Texas man dressed in women's clothes allegedly snapped photos underneath a stall in a bathroom in a mall, then brandished a pepper ball gun as he was fleeing the scene. He's facing charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and improper use of a camera. I'm still recovering from your mad Japanese skills. I think if anyone from Japan was watching this, I don't think they'd be overly impressed. It is phonetic the way it's spelt, I assume anyway. So that's what I was doing. I was trying to do the phonetic thing. I'm still looking for noodles to go with that long word. Where are we? There he is. Next up. Pretty pictures again. New York City buildings encased in ice. Again, it's this storm. It's just the buildings. To be fair, I'm surprised a lot of buildings haven't collapsed with the amount of weight of ice on them. It's now Lake Erie. Haunting videos and images show buildings on the edge of Lake Erie in upstate New York completely encased in ice, including monstrous-looking icicles stretching several feet long. One drone video sweeping through the Buffalo suburb of Hamburg starts harmlessly with a view of a town clock covered in snow after the Christmas storm. And then it spins round and you just see the devastation. So what else have we got? There we go. Next. Ukraine on the verge of recapturing Crimea from Russia. Now this is good news. Ukrainian forces are on the brink of recapturing the strategic important city of Crimea, in the east, according to a local official. A regional governor of the contested Luhansk region, which was annexed by Vladimir Putin after a sham referendum, tweeted that the Russian forces have left Crimea, which the Ukraine military is approaching. So fingers crossed, hopefully they can get in there like they did with Kherson. But to be fair, a lot of these cities, I know Kherson, they've been bombing it since, but I mean a lot of the cities they've just levelled anyway. They were doing that thing with that, theatre where those hundreds of people died because it got bombed where people were sheltering there. And the Russians have put a massive tent over it because it's in their land now. And they're knocking it down so that no one can ever investigate what actually happened. It's just horrendous. China's overwhelmed hospitals turn away ambulances during the COVID surge. China's hospitals are so overwhelmed after the sudden reversal of the country's zero COVID policies that many have been forced to turn away ambulances and critically ill patients. Emergency rooms in smaller cities and towns outside Beijing are teeming with sick patients slumped on benches and lying on the floor due to a lack of beds. Also, I've seen today images of, you know, where you go to a hospital and you've got the canopy that comes over where the ambulance is parked when you get taken out your stretcher or your chair or whatever and tucked into the hospital. There are beds in that area now because they've just run out of space in the hospital, so they've actually got people outside under a canopy in winter in beds, and still trying to say they're in full control. Everything's fine. We know what we're doing. This is a nice animal story. We like to have at least one nice animal story. A United Airlines pilot adopts a dog abandoned at San Francisco airport. Look at the dog. Oh, look at it. It's got one ear up and one ear down. Oh, it's cute. I love it. I love a dog with one ear up, one ear down. It's nice. This lucky dog made a smooth landing. A 6-month-old German Shepherd was adopted by a United Airlines pilot after being abandoned at San Francisco International Airport, where he arrived from China in late August. The owner didn't have the proper documents, abandoned the poor pooch, and continued his trip to New York, according to the Washington Post. But oh, look at it, he's cute, isn't it? He's a little puppy. Sadly, they don't stay like that for long, do they? They just grow into these huge animals that just knock you over as you walk into the house. Mayor Eric Adams soaked up sun in US Virgin Islands as bomb cyclone pounded New York City. You're like, well, fair enough. No, he's the mayor of New York City. And where was he when the New Yorkers were struggling with the horrendous weather? He was on holiday in the US Virgin Islands getting a tan. Mayor Eric Adams admitted that he took a secret 2-day vacation to the US Virgin Islands last week as the New York City was hammered by a once-in-a-generation storm that flooded parts of the city. Adams told reporters when asked about his whereabouts last Thursday and Friday as the worst weather began to hit New York City. They shipped a dog from China, then left him there evil. Basically, they didn't have the right paperwork. Amazing living fossils dating back to dinosaurs found in Arizona. These ancient crustaceans are meagre in size but mighty in history. I must admit, they look cool. They look like them, what are they called? The ones in the sea that are basically, they've got like a stormtrooper. They're black, but they've got like a stormtrooper helmet thing, shell, and then 2 eyes on top, and then they have the tail that's all armoured as well. They look like trilobites, but they're not trilobites. Yeah, I'm more of a cat person, obviously, because I've got a cat. But yeah, these look similar to that. These ancient crustaceans are meagre-sized but mighty in history. A colony of prehistoric triops, a tadpole shrimp that's existed for hundreds of millions of years, was beautifully captured by tourists. I hope she didn't capture them. She was from Israel, and she spotted the so-called living fossil at the landmark rock formation, The Wave, which spans the border of Utah and the Grand Canyon. So I hope she didn't catch on. I hope it's just the picture she caught. But they are weird little weird animals. I'm trying to think what the... No, not stingray. Stingrays are soft. Oh, what are they called? I can't even Google it because I don't know what they're called. But they're basically, to look at, they're like... they're basically like that, but a bit deeper, black, or it could be very dark brown. And then it kind of comes out with a little lip like that as well. And then on the back, it's got this pointy tail. And underneath it's got all the claws and everything, because it walks along the ground. But it's got this pointy tail. This tail goes to a point, but it's made up of individual like scales. And they're fantastic creatures. But a trilobite, I want a trilobite. I saw one once that was only £5, and I didn't buy it. I'm like, why didn't I buy it? It's a trilobite. I've always liked trilobites. It's not my favourite dinosaur, the trilobite. I mean, they're tiny. They're not, well, some of them are about that big, but I mean, the majority of them are not that big. But yeah, trilobite. Maybe I should go mud flapper. Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called? Is it called a mud flapper? Oh, I think our Japanese friend's gone. Mud flapper. I dread to think what's going to come up. Oh, no, it's not a mud flapper. Right, no, I don't know where we're at now. Images. No, it's just showing mud flaps. Oh, what's it called? What's she 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 called? An animal. It's like a prehistoric. Oh, mud flapper fish. Maybe it is mud flapper fish. No, that's not it. No, that's a fish. This is like a crab underneath with a hard shell on top. But then it's got a tail. And they're amazing. Amazing creature. Prehistoric living shellfish. There we go. Might come up with something. It has come up with something. There we go. Right. I've got loads of pictures of them now, but you can't see it. Or maybe you can. Hang on. Let's get that one up. Horseshoe crab thing. And that's what it looks like. That's a really dirty one, to be fair, but that's what it looks like. And they are very bizarre beings indeed. To be fair, there's a much better picture than the one I had. But yeah, horseshoe crab. Oh, go forward one, thank you. Most mud flappers are on Wigan Council. Now. It's fun when we stay on topic. Oh, I see horseshoe crabs at the beach all the time. Well, where do you live, Admiral Cat? I bet you don't live in Blackpool. They're fun to catch and make good bait. I don't think I want to kill them. I don't think I want to touch one, to be fair. Just see one in real life would be cool. But anyway, Oh, Santa Barbara. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, the Australia 9, we'll get to know these more in 2023. They said that his friend who died 3 days earlier had died of a heart attack, but had no prior symptoms of having a heart attack. New York executive stands by too late timing of Buffalo Storm driving ban. The top official in New York said on Wednesday it wouldn't have changed anything about the driving ban critics say was implemented far too late, resulting in some deaths. To be fair, I don't think it's just up to... You've got to use common sense, haven't you? It's not just a case of, Boris says, we can't do this or we can't do that. You've got to think, I want to keep my family safe. Therefore, I am not going to go to a pub and snog everyone in there when the COVID's just hit the country. And it's the same when the weather's like that and then you think it's a good idea to go for a drive. No, you've got to have common sense as well. There's millions of horseshoe crabs. Can't walk on the beach without stepping on a few. They're as plentiful as snails. Oh, lovely. We don't have them here. Nothing we have are them worm things that just leave what look like piles of poo everywhere. I've been going to a pub wrong. Well, no, if you don't want to, if you don't care about catching COVID, you're fine. Carry on, do what you want. Biden doesn't trust Secret Service because he said an agent lied about a dog bite. What? President Biden doesn't speak about sensitive matters in front of the Secret Service and told a friend that he thought an agent lied about being bitten on the leg last year by the then first dog, Major, according to a new book. Despite internal emails indicating the German Shepherd dog had bit agents 8 days in a row. Send him to Ukraine. Look, the Secret Service are never up here. It didn't happen, Biden reportedly have said. Yeah, first dog goes around biting people, and the president says, no, it doesn't. Kanye West missing. Please God, let it be true. Ex-business manager can't find rapper to serve him a lawsuit. Where is Kanye West? Well, rumours are swirling that the artist, now known as Ye, is missing, and his ex-business manager tries to serve him with a $4.5 million lawsuit. Thomas St. John, who is suing the erratic gold digger rapper and his company Yeezy over alleged unpaid fees, told the court he has also been unable to find a proper address for Ye. Who let Trump back in? Who? Who let Trump back in? Who? No? Okay, I thought it was good. The devil made me do it. A Boston woman sets fire to haunted apartment building. Well, everywhere's haunted in America. A Boston woman has been charged with arson for allegedly setting her apartment building on fire because it was haunted, officials says. She allegedly ignited her Dorchester triple-decker shortly after 11 a.m. on Tuesday. I had to do it. That house is haunted. I lit the house on fire, she reportedly told the officers who arrested her. Yeah, I think ghosts would always tell you to burn down the house that they live in. Well, they're dying or whatever. Their habitat. Second sudden death of top official reported in Russia's military supply chain in less than a week. Another sudden death of a top official in Russia's military supply chain has been reported following a series of unexplained deaths in the past week. Alexander Fechorovich Maslov, former commander-in-chief of Russia's ground forces turned special representative for the military corporation, who specialises in battle tanks, was reported to be found dead at his apartment in Moscow. Seems perfectly natural to me. Alleged drunk driver cruises onto frozen canal and plunges through the ice. A driver who was filmed cruising down a frozen Indianapolis canal was arrested for drunk driving after she plunged through the ice on Christmas night. She had to be rescued from the frigid waters and told the responding firefighters that her GPS had directed her to drive onto the canal. She said she motored down the embankment, through a park and onto the ice. Drunk driving or drunk sailing, well yeah, exactly. But yeah, sat-navs, never trust them, that's obviously, or maybe just don't drink and drive. US will require travellers from China to show proof of negative COVID tests, which is what we were talking about earlier, because of the opening up of the borders, and the United States are on it like a car bonnet. I don't even know what that means. New York City's first legal marijuana shop set to roll out at a perfect time of 4:20 p.m. Now I don't get that. I get the roll out at perfect time, but I don't get why 4:20 p.m. is a perfect time. It's high time. New York's first legal marijuana shop is ready to roll Thursday at Housing Works on the border of Greenwich Village. They give the full address out of it, and then when it does open, there's a massive queue there, and they're like, I don't know where all these people have come from. At the quintessential pothead time of 4:20. It's the perfect location, Charles King, chief of the non-profit that runs the store, said. Not King Charles, Charles King, different person completely. Adding 2,000 people at an RSVP for the historic first day, and tourists can come by and have a look as well. I don't think that it should be made legal. I know, I'm in a minority here, but I've known many people who've been on marijuana and their mental health has been shocking. Whether it's due to the marijuana or not, I don't know, but it seems a coincidence that they've got, the people I know have all got the same symptoms: paranoia, basically schizophrenia as well. I mean, just like that. I don't think it should be legalised. I think we should normalise something like this. But, you know, that's one thing where we are probably going to disagree. But I'm definitely going to say it is. And if anyone says they're not, then who's that? Who's that? No, I'm joking, obviously. 8,000 patients receive a message that they are dying of cancer instead of a holiday greeting, and you're like, only in America? No. Last Christmas, oops, we meant Merry Christmas. A United Kingdom doctor's office texted thousands of patients startling news that they were dying of aggressive lung cancer when they just meant to wish them a very Merry Christmas. A medical practice in Doncaster sent out the automated text on Friday, 2 days before Christmas, warning of a diagnosis of aggressive lung cancer with metastasis. What? Yeah. And then they said, please accept our sincere apologies for the previous text message. This has been sent in error. This is how the message should have read. We wish you all a very Merry Christmas and don't die. Only one of you is dying of aggressive lung cancer. Congratulations, Linda Metcalf. I mean, yeah, you would say only in America, wouldn't you? But Jesus, can you imagine getting that? I mean, I'd be more amazed if I got it, because I haven't seen my doctor, I haven't been to a doctor for me since I was 11, so they knew I had aggressive lung cancer. It would be beyond me. But anyway, still panic you, wouldn't it? When I lived in Scotland, I got someone's test results due to the staff. Well, due to staff were laughing at something. All right, so they just give you the wrong person's thing. Yeah. Russians joined thousands of migrants waiting for the end of Title 42 at US border. So there are many Russian military-aged men escaping Vladimir Putin's mobilization order, and they're joining a growing queue of migrants assembling on the southern border in Mexico, waiting then to cross into the US to ask for asylum. You wouldn't think, I mean, you know, we keep going on about our border and the issue we've got with the channel and all that kind of thing. And, you know, all these poor people dying in the channel trying to get over here. You know, most of them who aren't entitled to be here in the first place. And America is exactly the same with the border of Mexico. And whereas the border with Canada, it's people trying to get out of America when Trump was in power to get to Canada. But no, I'm joking. But in Mexico now, they're being joined by Russian military-aged men who are fleeing the war in Ukraine. The mind boggles. It's madness. Why have they chosen? What's wrong with England? I'm joking. Where does all the snow go? Oh, there we go. Where does all the snow go, people ask, as Buffalo area digs out from the deadly blizzard? I mean, talk about stupid. Erie County in western New York is digging out after the historic holiday blizzard that killed dozens of people and crippled the region for days. Snow fell at the rate of 3 inches an hour at times. Buffalo, the county seat, officially received 51.9 inches of snow. That's nearly 2 school rulers high. Well, it's about 1 3/4 of a school ruler high. With more than 1,200 miles of roads totally impassable. And residents have been asking, where's the snow going to go? It's going to melt and it's going to flood your houses. That's what happens. Snow is frozen water. And when it's not frozen anymore, it's water. Hopefully they're not spies. It's America, we don't care. Mexico has a lot of Algerians that came through illegally, as odd as it is. So so Algerians are either choosing the UK or Australia, America to go to. Maybe we should just move England next to Australia, and then no one will get anywhere near us. And then we're not in Europe as well. And the weather will be better. Wow, win, 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 win. A drunk Russian soldier beats commander to death aboard a military train. A Russian soldier who was drafted as part of President Vladimir Putin's unpopular mobilization effort got drunk and beat his commanding officer to death aboard a military train. The deadly attack took place last Friday in the Chelyabinsk region of Russia, according to investigators. The unnamed staff sergeant was sitting in a train car reserved for members of the military when he attacked his commanding officer and killed him. I don't understand how Putin thinks that the war is going well. I really, really don't. Tesla owners share videos of their cars failing in Arctic freeze. Furious Tesla owners are blasting the company over how their high-end cars are not functioning in extreme weathers, as the recent Arctic freeze left their door handles frozen shut and the electric-powered vehicles unable to charge. Bet ya didn't think of ice in the Tesla design, Canadian meteorologist Rachel Modeston wrote, along with a now viral video of a Tesla door handle refusing to budge. To be fair, batteries don't work well when they're cold. Also, to be fair, the weather was more than a little bit extreme. And I mean, I've had it in Britain where I can't get in my car because the car's frozen, you know, and it rains and then it freezes. So I think it's a bit of a nonsense story. But anyway, she seemed to think it was okay to slag off Tesla. I was Elon Musk. Yeah, carry on. This is a horrendous story. Australian kids survive 55 hours next to the dead parents in an overturned SUV. 3 young Australian children survived a horrific car accident that claimed the lives of their parents and then spent 55 hours in extreme heat before being rescued. The parents, Cindy Braddock and Jake Day, were killed on Christmas Day when their Land Rover overturned on Corricindin Road, just a few miles from their home. The couple's children were left strapped into the car, but survived the crash and were rescued. But you can imagine the horror that they're going to go through. They're all very, very young. hopefully the youngest ones may forget, but I imagine if you're 5 or over, you're going to remember that for the rest of your life, and that's going to affect them really badly. But people died, and it was children. Their mum and dad died. I think they care. I care. A White House staffer cringed at Biden's dumb comment about Afghanistan withdrawal. A month before the disastrous US withdrawal from Afghanistan, President Biden dismissed comparisons of the situation to the US exit from Vietnam 46 years earlier in the comments. One House staffer found the comments dumb at the time, claiming that he had the fight of his life when the then-aged 78-year-old president. Click the bell to receive updates on Wigan refurbishment, Elders Shop and Elders Food reviews, plus lots more. Alright, and the cat reviews as well. So yeah, Biden talking rubbish. That's unusual, isn't it? Could be worse. Teen-on-teen crime, part of troubling spike in New York City youth violence. A growing number of New York City kids are getting shot. We've been covering this all year. And other youngsters are the ones pulling the trigger. And the majority of such cases, police data shows. Just this week, a 17-year-old girl was charged with the murder in the fatal shooting of a 14-year-old boy in the Bronx. Young Prince Shabazz was slain while walking with his 15-year-old brother. Just horrendous. Kids should not be able to get hold of guns. Even if the guns are owned legally, kids should not be able to get their hands on them, because kids have hormones going left, right and centre. They lose their temper. They lash out. We have knife crime problems in the UK. Thankfully, we do have gun crime, but very small amounts of gun crime compared to other countries. It's just horrible. And America, wake the cup, please. Thank you. Meanwhile, Biden calls Netanyahu my friend for decades as the Israeli PM regains power. Now, I've never liked Benjamin Netanyahu. I'll be honest with you. He's always come across as being a bit of a dangerous leader. The Conservative powerhouse once again become the Jewish state's head of government. I look forward to working with the Prime Minister, who has been my friend for decades, he said. And we're going to discuss things like the Middle East region, including threats from Iran. Oh, what could possibly go wrong? It scares me. It scares me. It really does. Bring back Trump. Oh no, don't. House Ways and Means Committee releases Trump's tax returns. We've already looked at the tax returns earlier on in the video. House Democrats released former President Donald Trump's tax returns Friday, one of their final acts before returning the power to Republicans next week. The release is the final chapter of a long-running battle between the 76-year-old former president and the White House and the House Ways and Means Committee, which sued in 2019 seeking Trump's financial information. Silence is female. She's a very naughty girl. A Chinese jet came within 10 feet of US military aircraft, US says. A Chinese military plane came within 10 feet of a US Air Force aircraft in the contested South China Sea last week and forced it to take evasive manoeuvres to avoid a collision in international airspace. The US military said on Thursday the close encounter followed what the United States has called a recent trend of increasingly dangerous behaviour by the Chinese military aircraft. The incident, which involved a Chinese Navy J-11 fighter jet and a US Air Force RC-135 aircraft, took place just before Christmas. It's going to be one of them things where we're talking about Russia and Ukraine. We're soon going to be talking about China and the rest of the world. I fear that China are looking at what's happened to Ukraine and thinking we can get Taiwan back a lot easier. And look at, nothing's happened to Russia, so why don't we just do it? And the problem is, they're right, because our idiots who are the businessmen and the politicians have done all these deals to get cheap stuff from China, So all our factories have shut down around the world because everything's made cheaper in China. And now if we fall out with China, we have nothing left. We have nothing. And it's just horrible. Horrible. So there you go. New York's first legal pot shop forced to turn hundreds away as stoners flocked to grand opening. New York's first state licensed pot shop found itself in the green on Thursday, serving as many 500 customers in just a few hours. Now they said they're giving out 1,000 RSPVs earlier on, and now they can't cope with 500 people. A massive line of eager stoners, some already smoking, waited in a massive blocks-long line to make their first legal marijuana purchase at the House of Work's cannabis store. So, she's very naughty. She's a very naughty kid. Very mischievous. They've restarted Apple microprocessor production in Arizona at the least. Well, yeah. 4 suspects charged in fatal Mall of America shooting. 4 suspects were charged on Thursday in connection to last week's fatal shooting in Minnesota's Mall of America, with more arrests expected going forward. Prosecutors charged Teshawn Adams Wright, 18, with second-degree murder and second-degree assault over the December 23rd shooting that left 19-year-old Johnna T. Hudson dead. I paid to eat bread on a huge screen in... Hang on. There we go. I paid to eat bread on a huge screen in Times Square. And you're like, what? That doesn't make sense. What a buzz it was. Roll footage. A Scottish man is making waves online after paying to have a video of him eating bread broadcast in Times Square. Footage depicting his carb-heavy 15 minutes of fame currently boasts nearly 170,000 views on TikTok. It was absolutely wild to see my stupid face eat a slice of bread in New York City. What a buzz it was. Darren Dowling, 26, from Glasgow, told Need to Know Online. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, if you were paying to do something to be put... You do something more interesting than eat some bread, wouldn't you? So I jumped on the app, uploaded my video, picked my time slot and paid $40. Oh, hang on, we're back here again. This is breaking news today. Putin's former top space engineers dies after facing corruption charges. Vladimir Putin's former chief space engineer and accused embezzler has died at the age of 74, the 4th person in the Russian president's orbit to pass away within a week. Vladimir Nestrov was the former general director of the Khrushchev State Research and Production Space Center and spearheaded the development of Russia's Angara rocket. They reported his death, and they wouldn't say how he died, but yeah. I think the main thing to say out of all this is, whatever you do, don't get close to Vladimir Putin, because if you do, you might end up dying in mysterious circumstances if you fall out with him. You know, he doesn't take you un-BFF-ing him lightly. Rightly, I suppose. So yeah, that was it. That was what a week that was. And my hero of the week is the reporter who got dragged out of bed to do the breakfast weather reports on the street, freezing his bits off and whinging and moaning about it all morning. I thought that was brilliant. So yeah, that is it. I am doing a What a Year That Was, but I'm not doing it live. I'm going to pre-record it and then put it up at midnight tomorrow. The main reason I'm not doing it live is it's quite complicated to put together, and I don't think I can do it live, whereas I can do this live because it's just photographs and still images. Plus I'm working on What a Week That Was 2023, which is going to have a different look completely. Well, not completely, but a different look. So it's going to be a new style, diary orientated show. So what a week that was. From now on will be on Saturdays, because New Year starts on Sunday, so the week doesn't end till Saturday night. So it's going to be Saturdays at 8 o'clock. Now I appreciate a lot of you go out drinking on a Saturday, or you're watching some crap on the telly. So I may not get as many viewers. Having said that, I may get many more viewers. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, it's moving, because that's what happens when a year changes. The days move a little bit. That's why your birthday's never on the same day every year. It moves. So yeah, I will be doing that. So that should be interesting. And I am doing, what a year that was. I haven't done anything for it yet. I've got it in my head what to do, but it's going to be absolutely nightmare. Happy New Year to each and every one of you. You're all lovely people, and I'm grateful to Elder for making me moderator, and very grateful to you all for joining in the chat. Yeah, it is Happy New Year, isn't it? Happy New Year, 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 Happy New Year. Next Wigan Watch when something happens. I did one yesterday. Yeah, I did one. Was it yesterday? The day before? I've done one this week anyway. But not a lot's happening. So it'll all kick off again in the new year. So yeah, Happy New Year everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for chatting. And thank you for just being. JT and Rachel. Angela, Smiley Mac. Deno, Kim. Phoenix Hero. Admiral Cats. War Ready. Smiley Mac. I think that's everyone, is it? Unless anyone else pops in. Oh, Jono. Apologies. Smiley, Kim, Angela, Smiley, Kim, Angela, Tim, anyway, yeah, thank you very much. T, Happy New Year as well, and thank you everyone for joining in this year. And like I say, I'll be doing a pre-record, because I think it's going to get a bit complicated. What a year that was. I'm going to try and keep it down to an hour as well. So I've got ideas in my head, and then it's going to be a new look because of the new diary for next year. So we've got new subsections. We've also got a new continent of news as well. So, hi Chris, Happy New Year to you too. Welcome aboard. But yeah, like I said, from now on it's going to be on Saturdays, round about 8ish. Might be a few minutes past, a few minutes before, whatever. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell. That's the most important thing you need to do. Click the notification bell, and then you know when I'm online. I'll be doing a live stream tomorrow night, which will be the New Year's party. I bought a shirt special and everything. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow for game playing and chat, and we will do well. Alright, yeah, you're just saying, yeah, I'll let you say your goodbyes and Merry Christmases. I'll talk to the people on the podcast. People on the podcast. Yes, these podcasts go up generally as soon as I finish the broadcast on YouTube, but that means they'll now be going up on Saturday rather than Friday. Don't forget to tell your friends and everyone. America, I love you. Getting lots and lots and lots and lots of listens in America. I mean, it's just America's just turning red with the amount of views I'm getting. Not views, amount of podcast listenings I'm getting. So that's greatly appreciated. Hopefully you don't think I'm as mad as some of the people we've discussed today. Although Alex Jones we haven't discussed, but I mean, let's be honest, he's a madman. But yeah, don't forget to tell your friends, your family, your work colleagues, fellow students, whatever, that there's this Englishman who talks rubbish on Spotify and iTunes and all that, and it's free to listen to. So yeah, you do that, and I will see you next time. Anyway, I've got to say goodbye to YouTubers. They've been talking amongst themselves, saying Happy Christmas and Happy New Year and all that thing. Not Happy Christmas, because that was last week. Happy New Year. Anyway, so yeah, look after yourselves. That is it. I will see you all again soon, or speak to you all again soon. Happy New Year, 2023. What a year that may be. Anyway, until next week, which will be on a Saturday. Goodbye.